There are thousands of websites that exist online, all built with different platforms, be it Wix, be it Webflow, be it WordPress. However, from my own experience, when it comes to Elementor, often the websites seem to fall a little bit flat, especially if you were to compare them to some of the builds that exist with Webflow. But today I want to show you that you can have some attractive, some super inspiring, somewhat mind-blowing websites built with Elementor. And I've got 10 examples to show you, all different, some somewhat mind-blowing, really inspiring, and some that are more on the subtle side, but still a really good source of inspiration. By the end, you're going to get a pretty good idea of what is possible with Elementor. And more importantly, you're going to leave inspired and ready to get going with your next design project. Now, first of all, we've got Meet Wood Ray. Now this is, I mean, on the surface, it looks pretty simplistic, nothing too crazy. But what I really like about this one is the color palette, its vibrancy, and this subtle animation in the background that just keeps repeating. You know, you don't often see that with Elementor builds. Now scrolling down, we've got some animation, just making things appear on scroll, which is a really easy, simple thing to do. And again, everything's just popping in. But, you know, this isn't crazy stuff here. But what I really like, as I've said already, is the colors. So we'll just continue down, things still scrolling in. And you know, all of this stuff, you see this time and time again on websites, but when you can actually nail the design, it does work really well. So we've got, you know, like an outer container here with, you know, a glow, multicolored glow. I mean, that's probably an image, I would say, rather than CSS. And we've got some subtle hover effects here where things are just, you know, bouncing up a little bit. Horizontal, left and right, automatic scroll. I like that. You know, the mix of colors, the mix of the icons as well. That is a really effective way of using such a simple part of Elementor. Then we've got a grid with some hover effects. I mean, is that gallery? Yeah, it is. And yeah, there we go. Nice pricing tables. And we'll be working our way to the bottom. And that's nice as well. You know, the color at the bottom of the page, which then fades out when you actually get to the bottom. So that will be achieved with some CSS, no doubt. So there we go, the first one. I like this. Most of all, I think I like the design, I like the simplicity, and I like the color palette. So yeah, real nice source of inspiration in my opinion. Next, we've got Iambic. Now again, I've already seen this one. This is really cool. And the reason why I like this is because of the horizontal scroll. You know, when you're scrolling down, you don't often have something happening from left to right. So we'll come down, and that was, oh, I'm not sure what happened there. That kind of went, let me refresh that. I went from white to just color. Let's have a look. That was better. That must have been a glitch. So much better transition. And you can see just things are happening on scroll. So there's certain points where elements are being triggered, you know, things are being animated. That is a video. I can't get that. So there's a video playing in the background, I imagine. Let me just inspect that. Okay, so it looks like it's an animated SVG. This is really cool. So we've got three of the same images, which at one point are all stacked and make one image. And then when you scroll, two of them are animated left and right, which is really nice. And then we've just got subtle things moving in. Oh, we've got a card scrolling effect. So this, let's have a look. So the last time I did one of these, a lot of people were asking how they do it. So, you know, I'm going to have a look. We'll have a look to see whether there's any sort of indication as to how this is being done. Yeah, it's got a so here we've got a transition and transform. I don't think there's a sticky element on it though. So there are multiple vertical scroll widgets out there, which perhaps this is using one of them. There's one from Premium Add-ons, maybe I'll link it below, you can go and check it out, but I'll also stick all of these websites I'm showing with you today as well down in the bottom as well, so you can go and check them out for yourself. But yeah, I like this is nice. The little animations on the icons is pretty cool as well. But again, you'll see that this, you know, for the most part, it's the design, it's the color palette, it's the layout, the structure that really makes this unique. And then scrolling down, we move into a footer. Now I see a mistake there. The footer's doubled up. I'm not sure what's happening there. Yeah, weird. We'll pretend we didn't see that. So next we've got Radiant hot yoga. Now, I like this because there's an automatic scrolling from left to right happening here in the hero section. It makes you want to scroll down more because you want to reveal these. But also you'll see the background color is transitioning. Again, there are plugins that allow you to do this quite simply. I'd say that the header, in my opinion, isn't super inspiring. It looks a little bit cluttered. Again, with the drop downs, it's a bit cluttered, so that's not great. But I really like the above the fold here and the horizontal carousel. And then scrolling down, we go straight into background images. Now this is really nice that when you hover over this, there's a blurred effect to really allow the text to stand out. It doesn't really stand out without that hover. And I'd probably say that there needs to be some sort of background overlay on this. But still, I like it. I like the powerful use of these images as you scroll down. So again, really simple design. Got a nice use of colors. We've got a carousel here as well. And yeah, very much the same as we come down. So this is nice. I like the way that they do this pricing, where it's a fixed box which follows you down the page. It gives you an information about the membership. So if anyone was designing a pricing page and you had one price or even two prices, you could fix those on the right hand side, and then you could have information about them on the left hand side. I think that's a really smart move. Now this is a really nice way of, I guess, showcasing events in this case, but you could showcase portfolio items, you could showcase blog articles, you could showcase services in this sort of way. I like it. There's a lot going on with this site. There's a lot of different dynamics, and again, it's just showing you what is possible with Elementor. Now we've got Doodle Labs. Now this one is more on the simplistic style as well. There's the hero section isn't super inspiring. It's not mind blowing. It's effective though. Sometimes simplicity is key. But what I really liked about this one was the navigation. The use of the arrow which flips around when you hover on it, and the way that the sub-nav, the child navigation, is kind of appearing in from the right hand side and fading in to the left, which is really nice. And the use of this underline underneath the navigation item as well, that just appears in. So I really like that. Oh, again, yeah, same thing happening with the sub-nav. I think this is a really good example of still a very simple navigation. Now scrolling down, the other things that I liked about this, I'm not sure if you saw that, but the text was underlined, and that was animated in as we scrolled down. So you can see it again there. Let me do it a bit more subtly. Scroll down. There we go. You can see it take place there. And if you didn't, just skip the video back ever so slightly. But what I really liked about this, again, it all comes down to the design. This has been designed in this way, and it's been possible to be built in Elementor to function in the way that it wanted to be functioned. And this is the tabs. Okay, you click on these and you get new bits of information. But you'll see stylistically the colored border, which has a gradient on it, which is really cool. It surrounds the content and the tab item to show you which is the active tab. Now let's just have a look at this border quickly. I'm curious to see how they do that. Cool, so they're actually using a pseudo element of before within the CSS. So there's some custom CSS here, and you can see that they've got the gradient working here from orange to pink. Okay, so this is really smart. They're working from orange to pink from this point, and then on this container they'll be doing the same thing, but they'll be working from pink down to blue and then a light blue. So there's 3 colors in this content section, just 2 colors in this tab section. And you can see the CSS here if you want to have a look at it. They're working with padding, so they're sticking padding on it so it stands out. And yeah, that's nice. I really like that. Next, we're on to Elementor Expert. Now, these are Elementor Experts. Now, I like this site, and I'll explain why in a second. You could argue if they're Elementor Experts, could they have done a little bit more? Who knows? However, I do like it. It's simple and it is effective. And as I've already said about simplicity, so simplicity can be important because some of these crazy things, there's a fine balance between it, being mind-blowing and then completely distracting. You need to find a balance where people are not missing out on absorbing the content because they're too busy scrolling and being blown away by what's happening on screen. So we've got a simple hero section here, which what I really liked was the use of these kind of emojis. These, I think they're called animojis from Apple. But you'll see in the background there's some really subtle colors that are moving, and they're moving to the mouse. And also, again, I don't know whether you can see, but there is a circle following the cursor. So we've got a custom cursor on here as well, which is nice. It's just these little small, fine elements just add a nice little addition to the site. Another thing that I really liked was scrolling down, you'll see that this starts to curve, and then it curves quite dramatically. You know, it's, again, subtlety. It looks really nice in my opinion. And then we come down and it all just, you know, it's all about the design now. You know, the way things are positioned, the typography, the font sizes. I like the rounding corners, it just really adds nice soft edges. But again, we've got these little animojis here, which are moving on scroll. So we've got some movable scrolling elements. And if we carry on down, we've got the web designer. So that's being, you know, highlighted. So that's absolutely possible, easy to be done within Elementor. More use of these animojis moving and some color background. So that's the majority of what's happening on this site. Is we've got the subtle background colors that are moving, and on scroll we've got the animojis moving as well, which I really liked. I really liked. Again, simple, subtle, but still, depending on the type of website you're building, could be a very good source of inspiration. Next, we've got Cuisine. Cuisine, maybe it's French. But what I really liked about this was the large typography, the change in typography, the subtlety when you hover over them, and the way that the cursor changes. That's really cool. The way that when you hover over the text, you can see the silhouette. I'm going to use the word silhouette. I don't know a better term for it. I'm sure there is. Let me know in the comments. So you can see it just adds a little something extra. It's kind of like, it must be like a CSS overlay. I imagine that's what's happening here, and I can't remember what CSS overlay it's called. So scrolling down, you'll see that we have a fixed navigation, you know, where our header's on top. This has been pushed over to the left hand side and it's been done really nicely. And if we click here, you'll see the navigation. And again, this is a really nice nav. That white element is popping out, and then we've got the navigation items just fading in, which is nice. So scrolling down, another really cool element with this site is when you hover over these, you'll see that there is an image in the background. Now this will just be done with CSS, and if we go down a bit further, everything else is just, you know, fairly standard, fairly regular, but still the use of the typography, the serif and the sans serif is a nice combination. And we've got black and white images, and then that's really nice, the way that we fade from white to black. There's a really nice transition, and then all of this stands out a little bit more. And again, we're met with that typography that has a, you know, subtle hover and a really simplistic footer down the bottom. So again, really unique way of using Elementor. Now we've got a site from Langar Court. I couldn't have sounded more British saying that. Cool. This one, in all honesty, is not my cup of tea. Okay, but I've put it in here because, again, I've not ever seen a website like this. Now, I'm sure the style is called Pate Mondrian. And actually, I remember back in secondary school, I had a art and design project which was based on this style. So I think that maybe that's why it stood out to me. But, you know, although I'm not a fan, it's a really unique way of building a website. And again, this has all been done in Elementor. So you kind of have to work your way through it. You know, we've got the typography, we've got the about. The conventions feel like they're being broke left, right, and center. You know, I don't see a logo unless that's the logo. The navigation is in the right place. We've got some play buttons here. Oh, okay. Long story short, so you get a short version and a long version, and they're just hover, you know, maybe tab hovers. And we scroll down. I really like how the image changes there as well, which is nice. And then that looks like a call to action. Maybe gets a little bit lost because there's a lot going on here. But again, you know, this is a very unique design, and it again has been built with Elementor. So I wanted to include it for you guys. Go and have a look. It will be listed down in the description. The form's pretty cool. It takes up a lot of the screen. How each form field has you know, this border surround to fit within the overall design of the site. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I'd say, again, not my cup of tea, but pretty cool. Next, we've got Milk and Ink Studio. So I really like this one. It's super quirky, super unusual, and anything like that I'm always a fan of. So already in the hero section, it's quite floral. We have this octopus and we have Milk and Ink. Now, honestly, more could have been done here to kind of explain what this site does. If I visited this site and I'd never visited it before, it wouldn't be all that clear. Now, but I mean, scroll down, you'll very quickly see what this is all about. So a couple things, we have a very simple header. We have all of this going on in the background. We have this butterfly that keeps flying along, which is really nice. Straight into some text. As we scroll down, you'll see that there's some triggers that are causing some scroll animation to take place. Now, what I really liked about this one was its use of like showcasing what I imagine is their portfolio or their case studies, because it has a scrolling and sticky effect. So the point in which it reaches here on the screen, it sticks, and then the next one comes up and it sticks. And I had a look at this, I had a look at the CSS, and what's happening is it just looks like it's the standard Elementor Pro sticky functionality. So if I click on here, you'll see that there, if we look at isMac here, and then we scroll down, you know, it now says Elementor Sticky is active. And that's exactly what happens when you trigger a sticky class on an element within Elementor. It gets given this class, and then you have the opportunity, if you want to add some additional CSS attached to that class, that individual class that will be triggered at the point in which you ask the sticky to be triggered. So in my opinion, this is a really nice way of having stackable elements, and I myself will probably explore this a little bit more to see whether, you know, I can achieve a similar thing, maybe for one of my own projects. But yeah, I really like this. And as you scroll down, it was this white block that I really liked as well, because once it reaches the point of sticky, it doesn't stick, but it starts to expand. So the size of it gets larger. All right, and then it almost reveals a footer. So this is the lower part of the site, and you can see that we have a fixed background image and all of the content is sat on top of it. Scroll down, and then we move down to the footer, which everything animates in as well. So really simple, a really simple way of using Elementor, but super, super effective. Next, we've got Soda and Plus. Okay, this one isn't too crazy, but simplicity, really, really effective. And I really liked the typography. So we've got some mouse effects here when we move the mouse around, which just adds a little bit of excitement to the page. But I really liked the large font, the large typography, and the way that it's, you know, disjointed. We've got this left aligned and then this pushed over to the right, while we have some visual elements kind of scattered around, and all of them, you know, on hover they move. So nothing too crazy here. It's again really simple things. So scrolling down, the style of the site is nice. I like the colors. Lots of white space, or negative space in this instance, because it's, you know, not white. The call to action again is simple, and then when we're scrolling, we've got some nice parallax taking place within the image containers. So not only do they move when we hover on them, but they are decreasing in size as we scroll down. They're getting smaller, and again, it's just adding real small subtleties to the page while scrolling to keep the user engaged. There's nothing too crazy here. I'm not distracted. I'm not like, wow, this is amazing, what's going on? It's just really, really subtle. So we'll scroll down past this, and as we get to the bottom, I really like the transition from the dark to the bright blue. I was drawn into this. This is a great button. It's got a nice glow to it, so it's capturing my attention, and exactly what a call to action button should do. Now here on the right hand side, you can see that we've got something rotating on scroll. It's pretty simple to do, but again, effective. Then we've got a carousel, and that's pretty much it. Real simple footer here as well. There's not much going on. There's large call to action, you know, get in touch, start here. We have minimal links, so there's not much going on with the footer, but again, I like it. I like the subtleties. And then finally, we've got the Quake. Now, I thought this one was really cool, which is why I've kept it till last. And actually, it's a couple years old now. You can see that it was within the Elementor Showcase in 2022. But let's just get started. I'm going to start with just saying how simple the hero section is, and there's a reason for that in a second. And we've got this cursor again, which is following us around. So we don't have the standard arrow. We have our own custom cursor, which I think always looks nice on a site. I actually now have a custom cursor on my own portfolio, on my own agency website. So let's go. Let's scroll down, and as I start scrolling, you'll see that it starts moving. And we've been told to scroll down here. Okay, and this is just looks like it's just, you know, parallax scrolling animation that's taken place. And then we come down, and then everything starts moving in. Now we'll just continue going down. Everything is super simple, but we're really relying on the parallax. We're relying on scrolling effects. You can see this image is getting larger as we scroll, which looks really nice, really subtle. We come down, not much is happening here, but we have some red dots just popping up on the map, which looks really nice. How have we done that? Okay, so this is just, so that's an image, and then we have some Lottie animation. So we've got Lottie animation here and an image in the background. So again, very easy to do with Elementor Pro. And then we've got more scrolling effects as these buildings sort of subside from the Quake. That's, I imagine, just like an animated GIF or animated SVG. Did people use GIFs anymore? Yeah, that's nice though. Scrolling down, so this is nice. This will have a trigger on it, and then it just bounces in. And then we've got some real large impactful images in the background with text appearing over the top, and still a very subtle scrolling parallax animation as things take place. And as we get down further, we've got more of this scrolling coming in. So this is just, things are just getting larger as they scroll in. So they're starting off small and they're coming in, which again works really, really well. And I've said this already, but again, this is coming down to the design. Okay, this is just really simple shapes, a silhouette of buildings, but the color palette, the design, the structure, the images, they're all pulling together to create this unique design. And then finally down the bottom we get to the footer. So I like this. This is a revealing footer. We have some large typography, which is hashtag stay safe, which will be what they were pushing from a marketing perspective. Apart from that, really simple, really simplistic footer. So overall, really, really cool site. So one thing is for sure, it will always come down to how this has been designed. The design is the first part before the build, and the build just becomes that extra layer. So you can add these subtleties, you can add these little bits of animation, you can add the parallax, you can add the hover effects, the scroll effects, which just really complements the design. And as you can see, all of this is possible with Elementor. They're all Elementor sites, and I will list them all down in the description if you want to go and check any of them out. But I hope that you now feel inspired. That's the purpose of this video, is to not only understand what's possible with Elementor, but get some really good ideas so you can start implementing small things, things that you've seen, things that you like, things that maybe your customer or your clients will like within their upcoming projects, and see if you can go about building them yourself. When you're learning to design, or when you get to the point where you've designed so many websites, it's really important to look for inspiration and stay inspired so you can just keep coming up with new ideas. Now, if you found this valuable, please do give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Check out the links in the description if you want to check out any of these sites. There's another video popping up just now for you to go and check out, which again, you are going to find useful. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.